So I'm really excited to be sharing this work from my new book, The Bearable Slant of Light. I'm just starting to do a little bit of reading from it, so it's all really new for me as well. This book, in part, documents the onset of a serious mental illness in my younger adult son, and a lot of poems are about that. But it also reflects on depictions of mental illness in literature and history, as well as just our anxious culture. So I'm going to read the poem that opens the book. It functions as a kind of prelude, and it's called Medical History Number 2. There's a little epigraph here at the beginning. It's a bit of dialogue between myself and a doctor. And I say, me? I think there's a lot of trauma he has to process. Dr. K, did something happen? The hospital happened. The involuntary happened. The injectables happened. They had to rip his shirt. The doctors, the nurses, the residents, the techs happened. The other patients, some of them pacing in the hall and loud. The first attempt happened. The one-on-one happened. The EEG happened. The ambulance happened. None of this is in any kind of order, you understand. The restraints and psychosis, the overdoses and the non-compliance, the catatonia, the mania happened, the loneliness, the isolation happened, so many, many different meds. The assessments and telehealth happened, more ambulances happened, the courts happened, the ECT happened, the second attempt happened, the social workers happened, the intensive outpatients and treatment teams and therapists happened, 7 years happened, he won't get them back. So all of that, at various points is touched on in the book, including a middle section is about psych meds. And I'm going to read 3 short poems in a row from the section called A Bipolar Dozen. And it is head meds, A to Z, beginning with Abilify. So I'm going to read 3 here of these short poems that are really my response to what we saw meds happening and what we seemed to think was going on, and his response as well. Celexa. Hell no, he wouldn't take it again. He knew it wasn't right. Felt it buzzing in his veins like a trapped fly. Wouldn't take a pill that sounded like the name of a goddamn luxury sedan. Smooth over winding mountain roads, silent into an inferno of fall colors, flaming in a distant state. Depakote. Might as well be called Dedicote, a dumb blunt of a drug dosed by the 500 milligram slug, thuggish old school knockout. Lithium. Created at the universe's brilliant birth, stardust salted over the fires in his brain to bring blessed equilibrium. It silted into his soul like lead, deadening, then aflame anew. So I mentioned that some of the poems document depictions of mental illness, madness in literature and history. And I thought this poem would be interesting to read because it's not particularly a case of a depiction of mental illness so much as it is a kind of pathological society and what certain kinds of oppression do to people, and particularly in light of the recent death of Alexei Navalny. This was inspired by the book Darkness at Noon, which is a lightly fictionalized account of the Moscow show trials in the early part of the 20th century. The main character is a man named Rubashov, who's a party man until he's not. What the record shows. Interrogation lights and grim weather. The sun, when it does shine, throbs pale and late above the prison yard, and the defectors shuffling mules around the millstone. Cigarettes are in short supply, and your tooth aches. 6.5 steps across and back the span of your black-tiled cell. The barred window, a blessing, a scrap of paper, nub of charcoal, appears twice a week, and you consider a new thesis. Citizen, this is a mistake. You begin to think yourself a singularity, yourself a self with unique purpose and resistance. In the hall at night, foot drag of the damned and the herald of hands drumming against steel doors, eyes pressed against the peepholes. The sentence ends when the dull thud of history punctuates the base of the brain. Citizen, the record shows oppositional activity, conversation with known agitators, deviance from party assignment, and a brandy toast lifted in a firelit study. Citizen, here are the letters from your student. Here the ticket stub, the flyer, the confession. Citizen, what say you? To the ode tapped on a metal pipe with the rim of your spectacles, thin rhythm insistent as a bird pecking at a nerve, we have instructed no reply. Comrade, are you there? Friend, what news?